Hey, it's Kay. Welcome back to my channel. So great to be back to talk more and just chat, chat it up. But you know, back with another video about life, growing, evolution of life, and who we are as people. This is a journey, man, and we're all on it. So with this Pisces full moon, I just felt called to talk about, letting go, letting things go. When it's time to move on from a person, a situation, or a place, it's something that we all probably feel. And granted, this video may not be up until like the tail end of the Pisces full moon energy, but it's something that's always necessary to kind of like take an account of when it's time to let go or move on from people or situations or just a place. So I felt called to, talk about 5 things, and five things or signs that it's time to move on or let it go, So the first thing I wanted to share is when you begin to feel an unshakable shift in your gut, and how you feel towards people, places, or the situation you're in. I feel that's a big indicator. Your gut is, that people say it's your second brain, but it's actually, in my opinion, your first brain. Everything stems from your gut. So much of what goes on in your gut affects everything else in your body, including your mental clarity and how you even make decisions. So it's so important to identify when you feel that, uneasiness or that sickness in your stomach when you enter a space, when you're around certain people, when you're in a certain situation. What is your gut telling you? And if your gut is saying to you, it's time to go, or this is not right, something's off, well then, you know what? It's not lying to you for a reason. That's your intuition speaking to you. And you shouldn't ignore your intuition, all right? That's your intuition telling you, all right, listen, I don't feel right, and so I know you don't feel right, so don't ignore me, because then, hey, no one wins. So I simply say that because, a lot of times we tend to ignore our gut feelings, and then we go off and do things or stay around certain people, and then we feel the consequences later on in life, right? Whether it's a week or a day or a year, we feel it. Sometimes it comes back. So always, pay attention to how your gut is feeling. And a perfect example of this regarding a place is when I used to work in retail. When I used to walk through the door, as it opened and I entered, my spirit just sunk and my gut got so heavy. I literally became so sick. I would walk in there and I would just feel so heavy. I would feel so darkness would just come over me like a rain cloud. And it was over time. I started feeling this consistently, and I was like, no, I can't feel like this anymore. I felt like I was a walking zombie every time I went to work. I felt like I was there mindlessly. I felt there was lack of purpose. It didn't feel good, and the energy was affecting my mental health a lot. I just would really feel sick and tired. And you should never feel like that in a space or around people. Honestly, you should never feel like that because of the person or the space, So that's that. So always into your gut. And of course, I no longer work there, clearly. I just couldn't. But the crazy thing, well, not even crazy, but as soon as I let go of that job, of course there's other things going on in your life, but I felt the heaviness lift. I just felt so much better. I felt free. And if something doesn't make you feel free, you gotta let it be, all right? You gotta let it go, all right? So, and that goes into my next point. When you can when you can no longer grow as a person, if you feel stunted, stifled, or caged, and it's starting to affect your sanity and your well-being, you need to let it go, okay? And I mean that as far as feeling limited. If you feel limited in your voice, if you feel limited in your ability to create, if you feel limited in your ability to express who you authentically are, if you feel limited to how you identify within yourself or yourselves, if you feel, just like a caged bird, then it's time to like move on, or let whatever is going, let go of whatever is causing you to feel that way. And that could be people too. Let's get into it. Because if you're around people or a person that makes you feel stifled or limited, or does not allow you to feel like you are being authentically yourself, you don't need to be around that person. You don't need to be around people that make you feel like you are not yourself, that you have to hide parts of yourself, that you have to dim your light around them, because sometimes with people, some people may limit you from your growth because they see your potential and they don't want you to outgrow them. They don't want you to grow beyond them. They don't want you to grow past them. They want to keep you limited because they're limited within themselves. And when you begin to identify that in a person or a situation in general, it's time to go. Let it go. It's no longer serving you. We are all we are all birds that are meant to fly free, roam, explore. Some birds are more stationary, they stay in one region, but some birds travel all around the world, But with that being said, you cannot fully explore and see your how high you can go if you're stuck in a cage. What will happen is you will grow within that cage, and eventually your wings won't expand, and then you will always just be like crouched over. When it's time for you to actually get out into the world, you'll just stay in the cage because you're conditioned into that limitation, Yeah, so when you no longer can grow as a person, it's time to step out of that comfort zone. And check out my other video about why I stepped out of my comfort zone, because it goes into your growth and your evolution. If a person, place, or thing is stifling you, or you're feeling stagnant, maybe it's time to assess and move on from that place or person. All right? Okay, so step number 3, constantly justifying or making excuses to rationalize why you can't let go of something. Let me say that again. When you are constantly justifying or rationalizing or making excuses of why you can't let something go, that is toxic for you. Keyword is toxic for you. So another way I would word this is holding on to what was versus what is. Let me say that one more time. Holding on to what was versus what is. So with that being said, sometimes we will rationalize not leaving a situation because we invested so much time into it. We invested so much money into it. We invested, this person been holding me down for 10 years. Or we've been riding together for X amount of time, whatever the situation may be. That is valid, and I'm heavy on loyalty. I'm heavy on loyalty and sticking to things, and honoring things. But when it becomes toxic and impinging on or infecting your mental well-being, at the end of the day, self-love and self-care starts with, hence, self. You have to honor self first and know and be loyal to yourself first. You have to be loyal and committed to yourself first. And if that means detaching yourself or removing yourself from people, places, or things, then so be it. You have to do it. Granted, I get it. I love longevity in friendships and relationships. It really beats me up when things don't last. Trust me. Understand. But you have to detach yourself from these ideas that everything has to be long term for them to have value. All right, holding on to what was versus what is. Okay, we can't hold on to what was because that may not be the present. So when we begin to rationalize these toxic people or situations because of whatever attachment we have to them, it doesn't necessarily allow us to evolve, and it doesn't necessarily benefit us, and it's toxic to us. What value does it really have? Because if it's impeding on your mental, emotional, physical health in some way or form, there's no way it's worth holding on to. And maybe that's just my opinion, and to each his own. Of course, we can use our own discretion and discernment with that, but every season has a reason, and that goes from a person or place. You do not have to be in relationships or in a situation for long periods of time simply because of these false ideals that we were given, that you're supposed to stay in toxic relationships and toxic situations out of loyalty or out of like commitment to a certain number of years, or this value that may have. And for instance of a job, sometimes we justify keeping a job simply because, you know, it's a steady stream of income, which that is completely valid. But if it begins to really tarnish your mental health and your physical, emotional health, try to seek help in a way that helps you identify how to make next steps so you can be happy and leave that situation. Whether it's a life coach or counseling, you know, I suggest get help, because like it's really not worth it. It's not. It's not anything, and it's especially, and the key word with this is toxic. If it's toxic to you, then it has no value for you. All right? If it is toxic for you, it has no value for you. All right? And that's real. And so, yeah, I just have to tell you that. So stop holding on to what was versus what is, and making excuses and justifications for things that no longer really is a part of your next chapter, simply because of a timestamp that we've put on it. Number 4 is when you're always questioning or feeling that there's better out there for you, or that you have settled. Okay, so what this means is if you're around a person or a situation and you feel that there's more out there, or you've settled in this relationship or this environment, and it's not necessarily making you feel better, it's not necessarily adding value into you, or you know, it doesn't feel good overall. Like I said, there's many factors that could go into these things. So I emphasize, use your own judgment of your situations. Every situation's unique. But if you feel like there's better out there for you, or that you're settling, never settle. If you feel it truly in your spirit or in your gut that there's more out there for you, and you are being limited in this environment or with this person, don't settle. There's so much more. There's abundance all around us and within us, and you should never feel like you're settling for less. Because if you're getting those signs, you're hearing those messages, that's God, that's spirit, that's the ancestors, that's your angel speaking to you, that's the whole team telling you that there's more out there for you, and we want you to see it. We want you to identify. So we're planting the seed in your head to let you know that there's more to come. So don't settle for this right now. Always continue to work towards more. Co-create for more, because there's more out there for you, you know? Number 5 is when things begin to feel forced, and that could be communication or motivation. So essentially, when I say feeling forced, when things just don't flow, it just doesn't feel right. And a good example of this is when you begin to feel forced communication between a friend, or a loved one or a family member, or just forced motivation, meaning you don't generally want to be someplace, but the only reason you're going is because you feel forced to, because there's some type of attachment or something keeping you reeled into that space. But to go back to the friend example, simply, if you feel forced to communicate with them, it doesn't feel like natural anymore, the synergy is gone between you two, or simply there's like something's off about your communication, how you choose to navigate with that can simply be, you can talk to the person, of course, but if over time you notice that this communication feels forced, it may be a sign that friendship or that friendship had an expiration date, and you guys are just evolving independently and separately, and that's okay. And it's also okay that, not say end the friendship. You don't have to end the friendship. That may not be the option that's best for you, but simply identifying, okay, that we're moving in 2 different directions, we're evolving in 2 different ways, and you no longer we can't hold space for each other in the same way that we used to. So we just have to, our friendship has shifted. You are maybe an occasional friend now, you're a here and there friend now, it happens. It's real. We grow, we evolve. Not everyone is going to grow at the same rate as us. We may be growing slower than someone or faster than the other person. It's okay to identify those things. about like letting go though, and in the grand scheme of things, it's not easy. A lot of this thing is not just simply black and white. A lot of it is there's unique situations and unique factors that play a part in how to move forward with letting go. So by far, that's why I keep emphasizing use your own discretion and discernment of how you choose to navigate letting go these situations. But these are just some indicators and some key signs to look out for. And by far, letting go is a process. It's not easy, but once you finally do it, you may feel free, and you may even go through a grieving period. You may go through a mourning period, and because when you let go of things, you're also letting go in parts of yourself, your old versions of yourself as well. It's a healing process, and it may involve even getting counseling. There's nothing wrong with that. Talking to someone about the next steps after you let go, or having someone help you let go. There's nothing wrong with that. So with that being said, it's a journey. We're all on it, and feel free to share or reach out to me if with anything regarding like letting go. What do you feel are some key indicators? Put it down below. Let me know. Let's talk about it. Let's chat about it. This is all a process of heal. Let's heal together collectively, So with that being said, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Check out my other video, my other videos. And this all also, it just stems back into stepping out of your comfort zone too. Like, it's uncomfortable. Letting go causes a lot of discomfort within yourself. So just be gentle, be patient, be kind, and yeah, let's just enjoy the ride as much as you can. All right. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you later.